Are you struggling to defeat Morganthe in challenge mode? Are you trying to defeat her to complete Guild Museum? Well, this video is going to break down how to defeat Morganthe efficiently using free-to-play methods. This strategy does not use any pay-to-win spells, so you don't have to worry about that. First, started using Almond's strategy. I developed it and modified it into my own to where I think it works better. Here are the turn-by-turns for this strategy. So the boss is going to give you the cards you need to hit. It's going to be a shadow attack that requires 2 shadow pips. So the hitter and support 1 will shadow empower the hitter. That way that they're able to use the shadow attack by round 4. Now for these buff spells, they need to be universal or shadow buffs. That way the hitter can actually use those buffs to one-shot Morganthe. These buffs can be swapped around, and you can also swap out these buffs for other buffs. If you don't have some of these spells, you can use TC Dark Tribute, you can use Attenuate, you can use Shadow Trap and Shadow Blade if you still have the Castle Darkmoor gear. Those give Shadow Trap and Shadow Blade. Just make sure if you use Attenuate to use it on the last round because she does aura sometimes. You want a Storm, Fire, or Life hitter because they can't get Dark Sentinel, which is the weakest hit shadow card. And you want to get as high as universal damage as possible. There's some bizarre gear pieces you can get. I'll show them later in the video. And it's the pieces of gear that I use to get close to these stats. That way you'll deal enough damage for the final blow. So even with running a Fire, Storm, or Life hitter, they can still get a weaker hit. These do 1100 damage like Dark Strike and Dark Nova versus Dark Fiend and Dark Seraph do 1700. And so you want to make up for that 600 damage gap. So that's why I made a plan B strategy in case you get the weak hit. In other words, if you get a weak hit, you're going to switch to this strategy. Round 3 is mostly the same for the supports. But for the hitter, you're going to TC Hex Morganthe. And then round 4, supports are going to debuff to try to stay alive. So they're going to Legion Shield, TC Weakness, and regular Weakness Morganthe. And then the hitter will then do their Reinforce or Berserk if you don't have Reinforce on round 4. And then round 5 is the same as the final round of the last strat. You're just going to buff up and hit Morganthe. Here is the drops, how to make craft the keys, and the gear guide for Morganthe Rematch Challenge mode. So the key drops, you get a ton of Azoth, you get King Artorias spell for every school. In addition to that, you get her hat and robe, which makes you look like her. Too bad it's not like all black though. I wish the robe was all black. That would look way cooler. And then you also get shadow webbing in case you want to craft the hat and robe as well, in case it doesn't drop for you. Here are also the reagents you need to craft: the 1-hour portal key and a 2-hour portal key, which you can craft from the crafter inside the Guild Museum, inside the Chrysalis exhibit. Okay, now moving on to the gear guides for the strats. For support 1, Takonobu gear is really good for this. It gives you the item card Hex, the item card Dragon Blade, and item card Balance Blade. From the Takonobu hat, boots, and amulet. Luckily that boss is a really easy boss to farm because it's only a 1-round strat. And it just costs elemental Azoth to craft if you're trying to craft the portal key. For the support 2 gear guide, you can get one of our guildmates, Ardor. He has a Hex Curt Tribute pet. If you have someone in your guild that has like a multi-universal buff pet, this would be perfect. You can also get the Charm of the Black Pearl from the Bazaar, and it'll give you item card Dark Tribute. And like I said, you could, if you don't have the pet, or if you're struggling to get the pet, you can just swap it out for other spells like Attenuate, TC Dark Tribute, the Shadow Blade and Shadow Trap that you can get from the old Mally gear, like I said earlier. For the support 3 guide, you want Dragoon Hat for Mass Hex, or if you already trashed that Dragoon Hat, sold it, or you never did, Catacombs back in the day, you can just get the Supreme Old Judge Talisman. It's an amulet in the Bazaar, and that will give you Mass Hex. For the hitter, you can get a Reinforced pet, a pet that gives a Reinforced card. Typically, raid pets typically a lot of people make pets for raids that have the Reinforced card because it's useful for raids. It's also useful for this challenge mode. If you don't have Reinforced, you can just use Berserk because Frenzy, you'll be level scaled, so you can't use Frenzy. But you can use Berserk. But I used Berserk for this dungeon. You don't necessarily need to have Reinforced, but it's helpful. You'll be less likely to die during a run. And here's the Bazaar gear that I used to get those universal stats. And remember, the universal stats that you get aren't necessarily what you'll have in the dungeon. You're going to be scaled down to level 100, so if you want to check your level 100 scaled stats, you can just go to the arena, and there's a level scaling previewer in the arena in the PvP section, where you can check out what your stats look like after you're scaled to level 100. If you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.
All the ladies hold up, hop in the ride, it's a brand new motor. Get on a flight, live la vida loca. Nobody find it's a Coca-Cola. Hold on, no one no sleep and I swear to total. Throwing it back when I press rewind. Losing her mind when she see that motion. Yeah,